everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Caitlin and this is Caitlin K Reads. It's been a while since I posted a video. I got in a bit of a video making slump, clearly, but I'm back and I'm excited to be making content again. Sorry if you can hear my air conditioner. It is finally warm here in Boston, so had to crank that up after I got home from work. But in today's video, I am just going to be mood reading. I just finished the tandem read for the Throne of Glass series, which was Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn. And though they were great reads, that was a lot of fantasy at one time. It took me close-ish to 3 weeks to do. And so I am just ready to read some quicker books than those close to 700-page behemoths. While I was doing the tandem read, I actually started the Emma M. Lyon series, the Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon, and I have finished the first 5 volumes. I have been absolutely loving that series. I did not expect to. I got the recommendation from Katie Wittrick on her channel. She mentioned it several times, and eventually I was like, during this tandem read, I figured I wanted something shorter to pick up, like before bed or something like that, and so I started that. And I have just been absolutely loving it. If you have not read them, I would totally recommend. They're all on Kindle Unlimited. I believe there are 7 or 8 out right now, and another one will be coming out, I think in July, but if not July, definitely sometime this year. And I hope that, honestly, this series just plans to continue on. It is so, in a way, it's so mundane, but at the same time, I love Emma. She's so witty. And the friends that she's been making along the way are just amazing. The vibes are just spectacular in that book. And obviously very quick reads. They're all novellas. I will say the 5th one picked up in length a little bit. I think that one was over 200 pages. So obviously still a short read, but for a novella, definitely a little bit longer. And I think the 6th one will be the same. But no complaints because I love that world and it's just been so much fun. Each volume covers 2 months of Emma's diary, and yeah, it starts in March, so though I am now reading January, it was really cool to start the series in the month that I was actually in. So anyway, enough about Emma M. Lyon. I will probably just be continuing that series on my Kindle whenever I feel like picking up a Kindle read, but I have been itching to pick up another physical book of mine because, as I said, have been doing the tandem read for the last couple of weeks, and while I'll allow myself to read a physical book and a Kindle book, I try not to do multiple of either, if that makes sense. So I need to choose what my next read is going to be. I don't think you can see, but I have my physical TBR down here, and I think I'm definitely thinking a romance. So I believe these are the ones that I want to choose from. Romance is just my comfort genre, and I feel like after, again, all of that fantasy, I just want something that's a little more warm to my heart. So we have No Matter What by Cara Bastone, Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood, and this is also a novella. So while this would be a quicker option to choose, I don't know. Oh my gosh, and the font is like pretty big too. I have, as I said, been reading many novellas with Emma M. Lyon, so there's some part of me that feels like even though I want a shorter, quicker read, I also don't know if I want a novella. But that still is an option. Heated Rivalry is an option. The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez, and The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I think I want to hold on this one because this just gives extreme summer vibes, and we have just finally broken into spring here in Boston, so I think I want to wait for this one to read over the summer. The Night We Met is a really strong contender right now, and I feel like it's what I'm leaning toward the most. My only reservation, I have loved Abby Jimenez in the past. I did not love Say You'll Remember Me. I do think I ended up rating it about a 4-star, if I'm not mistaken. I did enjoy it, but I feel like it's just the same that everyone else had said, was that the male main character was putting in a lot more effort than the female main character, and it was just a bit insta-lovey, but then at the same time also touched on a really hard subject. And I don't know, honestly, I think the cover kind of annoys me as well. So I don't even know fully what my thoughts are anymore on that book. I feel like I've just heard it talked about so much, and as I said, for some reason I think the cover just irks me, which is not obviously anything to do with the inside of the book. Anyway, as I said, Abby Jimenez historically has been a favorite author of mine. Didn't love her last release. The trope in this book, I don't think will be my favorite. It's boyfriend's best friend. And from what I've heard in reviews and whatnot, it doesn't exactly sound like the boyfriend is a super bad guy or anything, where you are almost rooting for her to cheat on him and be with someone else. Because I think there are potentially some instances in which that could be the case where you're rooting for that. But it kind of sounds like he's a fine guy. So that's my holdback with this one. I'm just not sure what I'm going to think about that. But I also don't want to let other people's opinions influence my thoughts. Heated Rivalry, I think it's the same thing. It's just the seasonal sort of vibe. I don't know if I want a hockey romance right now. I am really looking forward to reading this, but again, some part of me that is feeling held back from this. So I think I'm going to put that over there as well. I think I have talked myself out of Two Can Play, again, just because of the novella aspect. I do want to be in a book for longer, I think. And then we have No Matter What by Cara Bastone. This is actually a really high contender as well. Which one do I want to read? I almost feel like I want to read this before No Matter What, because I think I'm gonna like No Matter What better, and I'm someone who likes to save the better thing for later. So all that to say, I do think I'm going to be starting The Night We Met. I will let you know my thoughts after I get a little bit into it, and hopefully I'm rooting for the couple. I sure hope so. So I will get back to you soon. Is now the next day, and I have not updated you. This is a very bingeable book. I didn't feel like I was reading for that long yesterday, and I'm now already almost 120 pages in, I think, which is about 30%. I'm really enjoying it. I will say I don't know how to feel in terms of the situation. It's not horrible because honestly, Mike is really not a great boyfriend. In the opening chapter, he blows off something because he's hungover. That's pretty important to Larissa, and has Chris come in and save the day. And this happens at least 2 times, and he's lying to her, which I really don't appreciate. But other than that, you really don't see a ton of their interactions, which I'd heard before, meaning Larissa and her actual boyfriend. And I do really like Chris. And the thing is, too, is the book starts off, they're not even actually dating yet. Like, they're just kind of seeing each other, and she's thinking about breaking it off with him, and she stays and ends up making it official because of something that Chris tells Matt to do. So I'm just like, that was Chris. It wasn't really Matt. So I feel like, this whole situation could have been avoided. I think since, this is not something I would ever do or condone in real life, but I think for the sake of just fiction, I am really enjoying this book and this story. So I'm just going to try to ignore the unfortunate aspect of it. In terms of sort of the writing itself, I have noticed there's a lot of dialogue, and I don't know necessarily how that makes me feel, but it is enough to kind of pick up and notice on. We're probably talking almost maybe 2 pages worth of just straight dialogue, which I don't know, is fine in one way, but sometimes it's a lot of dialogue at the same time. And yeah, I feel like those are my thoughts for now. I've also been finding this book pretty funny. There have been multiple times that I've laughed out loud. So I think really you just need to know what trope you're going into, but also it's fiction and just don't care. And then you'll enjoy yourself. I am enjoying myself, so we'll see how the rest of the book plays out. I hope to read quite a bit later today. And yeah, I'll catch up with you then. Actually, the other quick thing I wanted to say is the way that she has watched her mom date men and the kind of men that she has dated, it does make sense why she chooses to be with Mike, because she just feels safe and comfortable with Mike. She knows that there's no insane sparks or chemistry, I suppose. But for her, when her mom has had those just like insane alchemy type relationships, they've always just blown up in her face and like have been really horrible men. So you can't blame her in that regard, I suppose, for just enjoying the comfortable and not necessarily wanting to step out of her comfort zone. And this goes for her father as well, who's a horrible man and is still doing bad things to her, even though he's not in her life. So there's that aspect as well. So I wanted to share a brief update on my thoughts so far. I am now 196 pages in. I read a little bit this morning, and then I read during my lunch break at work today. And I just got home, but some of my thoughts. So right after my last update this morning, I then read a scene where Mike, our female main character's actual boyfriend, was just kind of blubbering to Chris about how he felt like he wasn't good enough for her and just liked her so much. And Chris is giving him this advice and whatnot. And I'm just like, that feels a little skeevy. Like, he is your best friend. So that was a part where I was like, okay, this is where it feels wrong. But I will say, Mike is definitely spiraling without even knowing that his girlfriend is really emotionally cheating on him. He definitely has some alcohol problems as well as depression. And it's just clear that he's not really taking care of himself, and it's funneling over to his relationship. But Larissa isn't even really aware of this. His friends kind of try to keep it on the down low, and Mike certainly isn't telling her any of this. So in that regard too, it just feels like she's not really getting a full clear picture of Mike. And sort of the reason she's staying with him, as I mentioned, is because he feels like the safe choice compared to who she has seen her mother date and be with. However, at the same time, she's so worried about becoming her mother and being someone that her mother would be with, when meanwhile, Mike is low-key that person. So there are really just points, she'll kind of compare something that Chris does and we'll think, oh, Chris will make a great boyfriend to someone. And it's sort of like, well, he's being a good boyfriend to you, even though he's not actually your boyfriend, and clearly you should just break up with your boyfriend and be with Chris. So that dynamic is still just so hard to really understand my feelings, because if we were to take Mike out of the picture, I love Chris and Larissa. Like, it is just so obvious that they should be together and that they're just right for each other, especially compared to the way she talks about being with Mike. And so, yeah, that's just where I think our female main character is a little frustrating. Like, she does consider sort of breaking up with Mike, but then is like, no, there's no need for that. Like, I could see a future with him. So, she's definitely playing the safe route, but at the same time, I'm not really sure how safe it actually is, especially with just how safe Chris feels with her. And then there's another thing that kind of keeps coming up, and she has this peanut allergy that she makes clear, at least to Chris, that it's a pretty severe allergy. And then there have just been instances with Mike where he's just been a little careless about it. And that's another aspect where I'm like, Chris clearly, even in this regard, just cares so much more. Like, for example, Larissa had mentioned that while at Mike's house, she had washed, a cutting board, and then her throat was itchy, and so she believed that, there might have been some peanut butter residue left on the sponge that she used to clean with. And then meanwhile, so this is Mike, her boyfriend, just letting that happen, whereas Chris will clean out any peanut butter, like make sure her EpiPen is looking right and everything. He's a pharmacist, so, you know, he knows what a correct looking EpiPen looks like. And so just all of these things where, if, like I said, if there was no boyfriend in the picture, it would be like, absolutely, I'm rooting for them. They seem perfect together. But it is just like, why is this guy doing it and not her boyfriend? And why has she not broken up with him? And yeah. So I am really enjoying it though. I'm clearly pretty much flying through this. I only started it yesterday. And as I said, I'm almost 200 pages in. I think there's 385 pages or something. So I very much doubt I finish this tonight, but maybe tomorrow. I think definitely within the next 2 days, because I really am enjoying it and just devouring it at the same time. So even with all of those grievances and whatnot, great book. But you do just have to look beyond that aspect. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Now I'm going to shower and get cozy because for as nice as it's been the last 2 days, it is back to being a bit gloomy and brisk. So I want to take a warm shower, put on some warm comfy clothes, snuggle in, and get reading. Now the next day, and I did in fact binge the night we met last night. I started yesterday only about 100 pages in and then just devoured the rest of this book. I feel like probably most of what I'd already said still stands, but you wanna know what? I really didn't love Mike. Like, he was not a good boyfriend at all, and he really did not have his stuff together, and, you know, was just spiraling on his own that he needed to figure out and deal with on his own. He was not being a good boyfriend because of it, and I don't want to give things away. So, yeah. But kind of just like with the secrets he was keeping, she didn't really know who he was. And that's, you know, when you're dating someone for however long, towards the end of this book, it ends up being about a year, you should feel like you know your boyfriend and who you're with. So I don't know. It's so hard because, as I've said, this is something that in real life I would not be okay with and just wouldn't support, but I enjoy this book quite a bit. Chris is honestly an ideal male main character in a romance novel. He had so many acts of service for Larissa, and just, she's struggling. He really helped make her life easier, whereas Mike only made it harder. So, you know, it's a bit of a moral dilemma. It's a book though, it's fiction, and you wanna know what? I enjoyed it, and overall I gave it a 4 stars. If it wasn't a boyfriend's best friend trope, it probably would have been higher. I don't know if I'm feeling this way just because it was so bingeable for me, but I don't know. I really enjoyed Chris. I enjoyed Larissa. She was a hard worker. The only aspect, obviously, of Larissa that I didn't like was just the fact that she realized her boyfriend was not a good boyfriend and that Chris would be a really good boyfriend to someone. And it's like, okay, if you're thinking these things, I think you know what that means. At the very least, you should break up with your boyfriend. Even if you're not with Chris, like, whatever. But I did really enjoy this. I am interested to see Abby Jimenez's next release because, as I said, I didn't love Say You'll Remember Me. This one I did enjoy just because of, I don't know, I guess the vibes of the book, but as I clearly have mentioned, did not necessarily love the trope. So I'm interested to see what she comes out with next. I do have 2 5-star reads from her. I think technically even more than that, but I don't know if I would rate Part of Your World a 5 stars today. But both yours truly and Just for the Summer are 5-star reads for me, and I think even rereading them today they would be. So I'm curious to see where her writing goes after this, but I think this book is getting more hate than it should. Honestly, if anything, I feel like at points they make it kind of easy to forget that Mike is a thing. I don't know, sometimes you forget he's a thing, and then sometimes he is discussed a lot. You get the vibes, but yeah, I did overall enjoy the story, and it was just good, quick writing, which was exactly what I wanted and needed after finishing the tandem read. So I finished that last night, and then this morning, when did I even read this? When did I have time today? I don't even know when I found time today to read this. Oh, I went to the doctor's this morning. That's how. So in the waiting room, I started It's Not Her by Mary Kubica, a murder mystery thriller book. I am only 15 pages in. I've not gotten far, but so far I'm really enjoying the stage that they've set up for this book. Essentially, our main character is away on, I don't know how long of a trip, I guess just a vacation with her brother and sister-in-law and their kids, and they are in a remote area, I think like Minnesota or Michigan, some northern state like that, and the main character's niece sleeps over with her daughter, and then when the niece goes to go home the next morning, she comes back screaming with blood on her. So our main character obviously goes to check out what's going on, and things are not good over at that house. So I'm curious to see where this goes. I think both of the daughters are left alive. I think that in-law family was the parents, 2 daughters, one of which being quite young, and a son. And I'm not 100, we've only found, I believe, the mother's dead body so far. But I think, based off the synopsis, there might be some questions as to if the older sister maybe had anything to do with it. So I feel like that's leading me to believe perhaps the brother is also dead. Obviously, the youngest daughter was not because she was sleeping over. But yes, I think this will hopefully as well be just a fast, easy, fun read. I clearly am just craving that so much after that tandem read. That was a lot of fantasy. So yeah, this is also one of my Book of the Month book picks, which I'm excited about because I've been getting a little bit behind on those. And yeah, I will let you know my thoughts as I continue reading. So I am now exactly 100 pages into It's Not Her, and I'm enjoying this book. I honestly feel like not too much has happened. Our main character, Courtney, has found her brother and her sister-in-law murdered in their cabin at this resort in, it was Wisconsin, not Minnesota or Michigan, in Wisconsin. And we have Courtney's POV, which is the present timeline of, you know, the murders having happened and calling the police and all of those things. And then we kind of have a past timeline when they first start their vacation, leading up to this point from Reese's point of view, who is the older daughter of the now murdered, deceased brother and sister-in-law. So I am enjoying that back and forth. I think I'm honestly enjoying the past a little bit better. Just to get a little more insight, Reese is, as I said, the daughter of the deceased, but she was a kind of a typical teenager at this point, really rebelling her parents, just kind of thought they were idiots. Anything they said, it was just like, okay, whatever, like, I know I'm gonna be wrong. And actually, we find out that the last words she said to her parents, at least as far as we know from Courtney's point of view, is that she wished they were dead. So Reese is missing in the present timeline. They have found the dead parents. As I had said, May, the younger sister, stayed with her Aunt Courtney, and they had found the other son, Wyatt, asleep in the house. So Reese is missing. We find out that she's been seeing this boy. So we're definitely starting to get a base. I feel like, though, what this book is doing really well are like the scared feelings that would come with finding your relatives murdered. I feel like in a lot of books, I guess I haven't even really read many like straight murder mystery books, but this is sort of really focusing on, finding these people and then being like, oh my gosh, who's around? Who's watching me? Is this going to happen to me now? Like, you go inside your home or, in this case, resort on your vacation, and you assume that you're safe with locked doors and whatnot. But this is a clear show that no, you're not. So that's kind of what they're feeling. They're just like now constantly looking over their shoulders. Even with the police now on the scene and everything, they still feel like, what if they can easily slip by, and, if it's not someone you're expecting, maybe the police will even just let them right by, because you don't know. And yeah, so I'm enjoying this. I'm not loving it at this point. I don't know if that'll change. I hope it does. But it's been enjoyable so far, and I'm definitely curious to see what has happened. I am giving you a mid-chapter update, actually. I'm on page 278 now, so I think that's like maybe 50-ish pages left. And I feel like my feelings have not really changed too much in terms of just like my enjoyment. I'm still curious to see what's going on. I think as I said earlier, I'm definitely enjoying Reese's point of view, which is the past perspective, more, leading up to the nights of her parents' murder and her own disappearance. I'm still not loving the present day, which is Courtney's point of view. I think that's just because, honestly, there's not much happening. I mean, like, they'd found the bodies and they're still looking for Reese, but otherwise, like, they don't have any, like, information. So nothing's, like, really gotten closer to finding her, I feel like, or finding out who the murderer is, or if Reese as well is dead. But I wanted to give an update now because our past timeline is finally on, like, the last night that everything was normal. So I feel like we're gonna get some good stuff soon. Those are my thoughts. I don't really have any theories at this point. Maybe one, which I think could be pretty valid. I was looking at some book clubs on Fable who are reading this, and was reading some of the thoughts on chapters I'd already read, and someone had said something that has now sparked my thoughts. But if they hadn't, I honestly probably wouldn't be theorizing about that, so we'll see if they were right, and in that case, I maybe wish I hadn't looked. But yeah, I look forward to finishing this off. I'm not sure if I'll finish today or this morning. I'm gonna get back to reading now though, and I will give you hopefully further updates shortly. I feel like part of what is so frustrating, I mean, for Reese, I feel like we started this book and Reese just seemed like a typical, kind of moody, bratty teenager who talks back and all the things, but she actually really is kind of spiraling and just having these teenage problems that, like, she feels like she can't talk about. And I feel like when you obviously don't have anyone to talk about it with, those feelings just bubble and they fester, and, like, it's so hard to maintain just, like, a nice personality. just finished It's Not Her, and this was a solid book. As I already have said, I didn't end up loving it, but I did enjoy it, and I definitely was enjoying the last third of it a lot more than the initial build-up. There were some twists. Honestly, the actual ending, I definitely had noted at some point in the book. It wasn't the theory I was talking about. Though I will say the theory I was talking about, I feel like I wish there was a little bit more wrapped up with that, because they were making one character seem fairly suspicious in a way, just good motive and whatnot. But it was solid. I would say if you just want an interesting, mystery, I would still recommend this, but it definitely wasn't my favorite mystery thriller by any means, and I probably won't really think about it after now. So overall, I think I'm gonna give this like a 3.5 stars, maybe a 3.25. There was some character growth and things like that, which I appreciate in a mystery because that's not always super common, but you will have to wait until the end for that. And there were some parts that made me not like actually emotional, but definitely tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. There were just some things that you feel for the characters towards the end. And yeah, so that was my thoughts on this. Since I'm traveling this weekend, I, in this video, really wanted to focus on my physical TBR because though I don't have too many books on it, it does still stress me out when I get a build-up going. But as I had mentioned, I'm visiting my dad this weekend and I only brought a backpack, so Kindle reads from here on out. I mean, it's Saturday, I leave tomorrow. I have been, as I mentioned earlier in this video, obsessing over the Emma M. Lyon series, so I'm probably going to continue on with volume 6 of that. I had already started it a little bit, and I read a little before falling asleep last night. Let me see how far. I'm only 7% in. I think this may be a bit of a longer volume. It's 236 pages, so for a novella, that's kind of long, but I love this world and these characters, so I really don't mind. I'm probably going to stick with that book. I don't think I'm going to start anything new otherwise on my Kindle, especially since tomorrow or Monday I'll probably want to pick up another physical book. So that's where I'm at now. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep reading at this moment, but if I do, I will let you know my thoughts. Although, honestly, my thoughts for Emma M. Lyon are just amazing. I completely recommend. Amazing vibes. And I'm not going to really end up saying anything bad about it. It's absolutely a 5-star series for me. So, yeah. Of days since I talked to you, and honestly I'm not even sure how good my B-roll taking was, but since finishing It's Not Her, I continued reading a bit of the volume 6 of Emma M. Lyon. I have not finished that. I believe I'm a little more than halfway, maybe like 56%. But as I had mentioned, more so my main goal was to be focusing on my physical TBR. And I continued that because I was visiting my dad in New Jersey. I had a childhood friend's engagement party, which was so much fun. It was like the afternoon that she had gotten engaged, so it was a surprise for her. And then actually my dad and stepmom are moving out of my childhood home, so kind of a crazy weekend. But now that I'm back home, I have started my next physical book, Kin. I am, I think, like 73 pages in, and we are following 2 girls named Annie and Bernice, and it starts off, we have each of their point of views. It starts off when they are young, and both girls are raised without their parents. So Annie is raised by her granny. Her mother had kind of just taken off, and then Bernice is raised by her aunt, and her mom had been murdered by her father when she was a baby. So it's already been sort of like interesting dynamics. The first chapter from each point of view was kind of introducing the character and their story, and you know, just kind of their initial feelings on where their parents are, where their mother is. And what's really interesting too is that you can kind of see each girl have a touch of jealousy for what the other has. Like Bernice feels like, oh, Annie has the opportunity to still meet her mom and find her and have a relationship, whereas in Annie's point of view, it's like, well, my mom left me. I'd almost rather not have that like hope and wish. But I was kind of surprised. I thought we would get more of the girls growing up, but like I said, we kind of got each of their first chapters was them younger, but then you kind of flash forward to right before they graduate high school. And I'm enjoying it so far. I'm enjoying the writing style. It's definitely a very interesting period as well. They are both Black women, and it is the like I think the book may have started in the 1940s, so we may be getting closer to 1960, but they're in Louisiana, so just kind of that whole dynamic as well. I am really enjoying it. I am excited to see where it goes from here. But yeah, always enjoy a book about like female friendships, and then also they have all these family dynamics going on. So I'm curious to see where this will go. Unfortunately for this video, I will only be giving you another update later, which technically speaking, I don't even know if I should do that. Since I was doing just a week of reading, it's now officially, we're back to Tuesday. So regardless, I will talk to you later to officially wrap up this video. Alrighty, it is now Tuesday evening. I just got back from work, and so I'm going to give you a full recap as to what I read this week, as I was just trying to mood read and work on my physical TBR. So I started the week by reading The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez, and I gave that one a 4 stars. I then read It's Not Her by Mary Kubica, and that one I gave a 3.25, 3.5 stars. I didn't love it, but it was a good, enjoyable read. After that, I continued with the Unselected Journals of Emma and Lyon, Volume 6, which, let me see exactly how far I made that. Yes, I was right, 52% of the way in, and my Kindle says I have just under 2 hours left of that. And lastly, I also started Kin by Tayari Jones, I believe is how you say this author's name, and I read a little bit on the ferry on the way back, but I'm on page 77 of this, and as I said, enjoying it so far. So that is what I have read for this week. I also wanted to do a quick unboxing for you guys because I know that this is a book in here. I'm very excited for this. My grandma actually sent me this book. I'm not sure where she saw it because she's not really a reader. But she sent it to me, and I thought it would be a really cute book and something I'm interested in. And that is the Mother-Daughter Book Club by Suzanne Patterson and James Patterson. My mom and I are super close. We always have been. She's one of my best friends, and we both love to read. So I'm sure my grandma had the same thought process there, is that this would just be a really cute read as someone who, like I said, is tight with their mom and both enjoys reading. So this will, as all the progress we did on the physical TBR, we're now gonna add one, but I'm excited for this, and I really think I'm going to enjoy it. It had a pretty good rating on Goodreads. Also, look at this font size, nice and big. And I'm hopeful that if I enjoy this enough, I will pass it on to my mom to read, and we can both just enjoy our mother-daughter book chat. So anyway, that is this week's video. I hope that you enjoyed and found potentially some book recommendations for yourself, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye!